Hey everyone, today we're reacting to I Hate Tears of the Kingdom by Skitty B. We're not watching the entire thing, of course not, but we're gonna watch a lot of it.
E3, Nintendo released The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I still haven't forgiven them. Just over a year ago, I started working on a video essay about Breath of the Wild.
Alright.
I know, it's never been done. That video, somewhere between a retrospective and a love letter, never got made. And while it's still something I'd like to make eventually, I'm not in a rush anymore. That initial sense of urgency stemmed from a fear that Tears of the Kingdom was going to be so good that there would be no reason to play Breath of the Wild ever again after it came out. That is not what happened. And
I like Tears of the Kingdom, but I like Breath of the Wild more.
now it feels
I'm probably gonna agree with most of the criticisms in this video, by the way.
like I can't make that video not without talking about Tears of the Kingdom first, because my dream Breath of the Wild retrospective exists in a world without Tears of the Kingdom. When I make that video, I'm going to be pretending that Tears of the Kingdom doesn't exist, and in order to do that, I need to have already said everything I need to say about this game. And I do have a lot to say, in no small part because I love the game that it's at least ostensibly a sequel to. Since I started work on this project in earnest, more and more people have begun to come out of the woodwork to express their disappointment with Tears of the Kingdom, to the point that some people are quick to label the game's critics as bad faith, nitpicking.
I know, I do not agree with these videos. I was not that disappointed by Tears of the Kingdom.
Hating on something that's popular because it's popular,
Yes.
and I'll never deny that those people are out there, but I want to be very clear that the reason it's taken me over a year to make this video is not because I'm clout chasing. I spent the past year pouring hundreds of hours into this game.
I spent all of this year, most of my time this year has been playing Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, believe it or not. I have more hours in Tears of the Kingdom than her. I've done 9 playthroughs.
Playing
I'm
and
not gonna
replaying
brag about
every
that too
single
much, by
shrine,
the way.
taking notes, talking to friends, refining my thoughts. It was all leading up to this. All of this is just to say that I hated Tears of the Kingdom before it was cool, and I hate it in a differenter and specialer way than everyone else. Before we found out the actual name of the game, Tears of the Kingdom was the sequel to Breath of the Wild, or Breath of the Wild 2. Everything the game had going for it was predicated on its status as a sequel to Breath of the Wild, but the final product felt less like a sequel and more like a second draft.
Second draft, yeah, I could possibly agree with that.
To the point that it's not even clear whether the events of Breath of the Wild as we experienced them even happened. Tears of the
Yeah, like, people... Nintendo has people forget who Link is. Like, Katano Village, you went there during Breath of the Wild. Just to talk to Purah, but apparently nobody remembers you. Look, I don't think it's weird that the Hateno people don't remember you. Oh. I think it's weird because Nintendo made that at specifically for people who didn't knowing they were missing out on context, like people who didn't play Breath of the Wild. Most of the people who jumped into Tears of the Kingdom already know that it was a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, so they shouldn't be too surprised.
Kingdom is at its strongest when you're not thinking about Breath of the Wild, but I'm always thinking about Breath of the Wild. It consumes my every waking moment, and I'll never be free. I saw this cafe in the Prague airport and went, anyway, this video
I
is
do
made for
not do
people
that.
who've played Tears of the Kingdom in mind. You're more than welcome to watch this video if you haven't played the game, and I'll be providing context where it's needed. But if you care about spoilers, consider this your warning. I also know that many of you are going to be listening to this video rather than watching it. With that in mind, when you hear this sound, it means there's text on screen or some other visual element that I feel is important. It's obviously just a suggestion, but I spent literally hundreds of hours editing this video, and it moves at such a pace that important quotes or visuals that I spent an inordinately long time working on are sometimes only on screen for a few seconds, so you can feel free to take that into consideration or not. I'm not the boss of you. Now, without further ado, let's skydive into my critique of The Legend of Zelda, Tears of Me, personally.
Really? I love this remix. Demon King.
I know why I am here. It's something only I can do.
Tears of the Kingdom broke me. The hype was real. Yeah, that was true. Sorry if I stop recording automatically. It might be my storage space.
There is nothing I can say that will make you understand how badly I wanted to love this game. Breath of the Wild is hardly perfect, but it's still a game that I really love. And in the months leading up to Tears of the Kingdom's release, I spent countless hours imagining what its sequel would be like. What you need to understand is that we knew nothing going into this game. We got the 10-minute gameplay demo and a handful of trailers, but those didn't really give us a sense of what the game would actually be like.
Yeah, that's true.
If Tears of the Kingdom was even a fraction as good as its final trailer, I would not be making this video.
But it was good. It was good as its final trailer. The main driving point that made me want to play Tears of the Kingdom is its music.
Didn't spoil much of anything. My only takeaways from it were that this guy is named Rauru and that there was going to be cheese. Game of the year incoming?
Honestly, cheese is just overrated shit. I used to really like it, but not anymore.
Just kidding. Game of the year is a meaningless distinction.
Yeah, it didn't win Game of the Year, unfortunately.
And if you care about the Game Awards, you need to get some bitch. Getting excited about new video games is very rare for me. I'm someone who typically believes that the only way to avoid disappointment with a new game is to go in with zero expectations. Being a Pokemon fan for most of your life will do that to you.
I'm always excited for a new game.
But it was borderline impossible not to fantasize about Tears of the Kingdom. I wasn't one of the people who complained about the combat or the weapon durability back in the Breath of the Wild era.
Same. I didn't even complain about the dungeons.
Honestly, neither of those things really bothered me, but I did think there needed to be expanded dungeon content, more challenging and creative shrines, better
I like the Major Test of Strength shrines.
writing.
I like the English voice actors. I praise them. I don't think they did their best. I don't like Japanese, mainly due to the fact I can't fucking speak it.
And some elaboration on the many, many, many questions raised by Breath of the Wild through its environmental storytelling choices. What was the purpose of the Forgotten Temple?
A lot of people speculated that was similar to Skyward Sword, and it was, but I didn't think it was the Sealed Temple because the goddess statue is like 2 times fucking smaller.
What was the deal with the Typhlo ruins, or the mazes, or Lanayru Promenade?
Typhlo ruins. Yeah, I think that's actually interesting. Sure, it disappeared without any trace, like no evidence or backstory, but I think that's actually good. It could allow more spirit ground. It could allow for more fertility. Nobody really seems to realize that.
Or the massive Leviathan skeletons? What was the deal with the dragons, the guardian?
People have theorized that those are Zonai. I doubt that. That's because if they were Zonai that so happened to swallow a secret stone, how the fuck does that connect to them? Their weird connections to the three golden goddesses.
Of the springs that happen to match up strikingly well with their counterparts from Skyward Sword. What is Malice? Is it alive? Can it think? Hopefully you didn't care too much about these questions, because Tears of the Kingdom is not interested in even acknowledging them.
Why does it have to acknowledge them? I mean, I didn't think all that red stuff in the trailers and stuff was Malice. It's because it was redder. Oh my goodness, it's raining. Whatever.
Let alone answering them. But we'll get to that. My point is that there was a lot of cause for excitement in the lead up to Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, that's true.
But then something very tragic happened.
What's the tragic thing?
Game came out.
The game came out. It's tragic. Like, I love Tears of the Kingdom. I'm probably gonna go back to it many times. Because my suffering
Tears
begins.
of the Kingdom came out during finals season. I finished up my classes and I finally got my hands on the game. I started up the game and, oh hey, it's the full version of that teaser from 2019. Cool. Zelda's being cute. Her girlfriend carries her torch for her so that she
You mean boyfriend?
can take pictures on her iPhone. Mummy Ganon wakes up. So far so good. The Master Sword explodes. Zelda falls into the abyss, much to my chagrin. Link gets grabbed by a magic hand. Shit starts going crazy outside. Cut to Link waking up with a brand new arm, and we all know what happens next.
Yep, the beautiful intro. That's a good intro.
I'm neither ashamed nor too proud to admit that I cried watching this intro. For all the this game gets wrong, it never misses the mark when it comes to spectacle, accentuated by the game's incredible score. What's about to unfold is disappointing enough to warrant a thesis-length critique, but every time I watch this scene, I'm transported back to the first time I saw it. And
Same.
that feeling, or even just
You're
the
so
memory of that
relatable
feeling, still
here.
kinda gets me. What follows is essentially just a rehash of Breath of the Wild's tutorial.
I'm not mad about
it.
that either.
It was decent for what it was, and the sky as a setting is beautiful. So you talk to a ghost king again, go to 4 shrines and get your abilities again, and then the king disappears while urging you to go save Zelda again. The Master Sword gets sent back in time, we see Zelda receive it in the past, and it is at this point that the game completely falls apart.
Actually, I'd say it falls apart due to your own objectives. I think that the freedom can especially ruin your experience.
In Breath of the Wild, the ghost of King Rome tells you that it would be a
Oh yeah, major spoiler for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in this video. So Super 5e, if you ever plan on playing Breath of the Wild, or any of y'all are watching this, I urge you not to watch this.
idea to go try and beat Ganon immediately. The players
Yes.
encouraged to spend their time getting stronger, whether that's through exploring, completing the shrines, freeing the divine beasts, all of those things, or none of them. You can go directly to Ganon, but there isn't a sense of urgency. If there were, there'd be a massive disconnect between Link's goal of defeating Ganon as quickly as possible and the player's goal of experiencing this massive world and all that it has to offer. I'm going to be mostly avoiding game design jargon in this video, because if you have to explain every single piece of terminology you want to use every single time you want to use it, it's not a helpful piece of terminology.
Yes.
Having said that, yes, I do know that there's a term for that disconnect, and yes, I do know that it's called ludonarrative dissonance, so you can stop typing. I bring this up because the quest you get at the end of Tears of the Kingdom
I was not
tutorial is
typing.
find Zelda.
Actually, I'm gonna leave a comment.
Departure from Breath of the Wild's Destroy Ganon. The fundamental problem.
Actually, as soon as after you get that Destroy Ganon quest, your first quest after that, you would immediately seek out Impa.
Here is that Link, the character, wants to find Zelda as soon as possible, but you, the player, want to fuck around and build cars.
Not me.
The pretense Tears of the Kingdom gives you for exploring Hyrule is investigating what happened to Zelda by visiting the same 4 regions you visited in Breath of the Wild, all of which are currently experiencing some sort of crisis. There isn't even a mention of defeating Ganondorf until after you've cleared the 4 main
So
temples.
that makes sense.
That means your only stated long-term goal for the majority of the game is to figure out where Zelda is and what happened to her, which wouldn't be an issue except for the fact that the player already knows where Zelda is. We know instantly from this scene that she's fine. She's in the past, but Link doesn't know that. Breath of the Wild was designed with the Wii U in mind. This is the necessary starting point for any discussion
I had to fast forward
of the user interface in these games, because the Wii U's main gimmick was the gamepad. This thing is
I like the
result of
Wii U
a
better
wizard
than
creating between
Switch.
a Wii Classic controller and an iPad. It was an absolute nightmare to develop games for, but honestly, when it worked, it really worked. The Wind Waker and Twilight Princess remakes on the Wii U integrated the gamepad for real-time inventory management, and if Breath of the Wild hadn't had its gamepad features nuked from orbit, the Wii U version of the game would probably outclass the Switch version, which is probably why they made that choice. Tears of the Kingdom's user interface is just an updated version of the Breath of the Wild user interface, which was already outdated when the game released on the Switch in 2017. Rather than overhauling it for the new game, they left most of the menuing unchanged, and in some cases they made it worse. Quick select.
I don't think it was that bad. In fact, people complain about the frickin' UI of Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, what the hell? I never complained about the UI. In fact, I think it's nice. It makes sense having scrolling through your inventory to get what item you want. It's good gameplay design. So I don't know why people are complaining.
Weapons and items was quick and snappy in Breath of the Wild, but there's a brief pause before the menu comes.
Yeah, I know that there's a disconnect between what the player wants and what the game wants, but still, I respect the disconnect.
Up in Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm not sure why. In Breath of the Wild, you could also use the L, R, ZL, and ZR buttons to scroll through the quick menu, and for some reason they took that out for Tears, which makes no sense considering the amount of scrolling you'll be doing in this game. Which brings me back to Fuse. First of all, there's no way to set types of arrows like in previous Zelda games.
So, I don't know why people complain about having to do it from scratch. Again, I don't care about the UI. And plus, you don't even need arrows for elemental stuff. You can just do a boomerang or something. Like, fuse like, something fiery or icy or electrical, or, like, electrical to your boomerang, then throw it at a fucking Gleeok.
Or even like in Breath of the Wild, which means you'll be making every single fire arrow, bomb arrow, whatever, every single time you want to use one. Your list of items is just a single continuous hotbar of everything you've ever collected, and there's no way to fuse stuff from the menu. In order to fuse something
So
to
I
your
don't
weapon or
care.
shield, you need to take out the item you want to fuse, drop it on the ground, switch to the weapon or shield you want to fuse to if you're not already holding it, activate fuse, and then press the weapon or shield button every single time. This is especially bad during combat
So I
because
don't
fusing
really
mid-battle
care.
is extremely clunky. Especially
So we should have expected this. We saw this in the gameplay 10-minute gameplay footage. We should have expected this. And also, people complain about them reusing the same world as Breath of the Wild. I mean, if it takes place thousands of years after Breath of the Wild, it would make sense for a lot of changes. But it only takes a couple of years after Breath of the Wild. So what did we fucking expect? Fucking Kakariko Village to automatically explode?
There will almost always be monster parts or weapons or plants lying around that you can end up fusing to your weapons by accident. I don't understand.
So if it's a good monster material, it's still gonna make whatever weapon it's fused to powerful.
How this is considered acceptable. Link can eat hundreds of apples and an entire raw chicken in the menu, but he can't fuse his weapons there? This system discourages players from...
I don't care. I mean, how would that work? Or how would that work to do it through the menu? Tell me. Like, select on a weapon, like, select fuse item. That's gonna take fucking forever. It's probably gonna take more... It's probably gonna take, like, more time than to just go to the general items menu tab thingy and get your thingy in some instances.
Experimenting with Fuse because of how much scrolling you'll have to do to find new items to use. With over 250 material types in this game, this is in no way a sustainable system, especially without some sort of favorites tab to pin specific items for easy access. Auto build is
I don't care about favorite tabs.
possibly even worse.
You know what? I'm just gonna call this video quits. Bye.